Hello and good day. This is Punchline, and we are First News Nation. On Punchline, we discuss national politics. Thanks for joining us. I am Sami Ajufo. We have interesting stories to talk about today on the political discourse. As usual, we'd like to invite you to all our social media handles. You could see them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. You could take a step further. Visit any of these channels and look for the notification section. Click on the notification bell, especially when you're on First News Nation, so you could get latest updates on all our shows. I am Sami Ajufo. We go straight into the matter for today. This is a pretty sad one. Since the year 2020, many people remember what happened in October, November 2020, when we had the ENDSARS movement and what happened after that. It is still a sore topic when we talk about ENDSARS, and it seems after the 2023 elections, or before the 2023 elections, it was quickly swept under the carpet, especially as regards the Lagos State gubernatorial elections that happened much later in March this year. Now, before March, even before February, we started having that conversation quickly simmer down. Yes. So 3 years later, from 2020 to 2023, the conversation seemed to have died up until a recent circular was made public on social media emanating from the Lagos State government. And that circular brought up old wounds. It reopened old wounds. And that's the conversation a lot of people have been having. That's what we're talking about today. Now, just when you thought it was over, we see that this circular has mentioned about several casualties that will be buried in mass. Yes, it's all over social media, and it's been a sore conversation recently that the mass burial in Lagos of some casualties that came out of the 2020 ENDSARS shooting. Now, the letter was titled Letter of No Objection Emanating from the Lagos State Government Public Procurement Agency. Government claims that the bodies were picked up in the events following the ENDSARS violence and community violence. Now, it mentioned several places in Lagos, like Ketu, Ikorodu, Orile, Ajegunle, Abulegba, Ojota, Ogba, Isolo, and Naja Axis, as well as a jailbreak attempt at the Lagos prisons. Now, Lagos prisons in Ikoyi, but all these places that were mentioned had no bearing with the Lekki shooting. So that's the question now. People are saying, well, we don't really have much record about casualties that happened in all these places, and you have this much number of people who are going to be buried en masse, and why are you taking how many years to bury them? Does this mean that you actually agree that there was a shooting at the Lekki Tollgate? Lagos State government says no, that they didn't pick any of these bodies in the Lekki axis, especially the Lekki Tollgate axis, but they found bodies in other places, and they've asked people since the year 2020 to come and pick up the bodies, identify the bodies using DNA. Many families had not come to identify those bodies, and that's why Lagos State government, 3 years after, have decided to bury all these bodies en masse. And they're saying that this is a normal thing in their systems, that every time the morgue is filled up, they have to just find a way to depopulate the morgue and then bury people en masse, bodies that have not been recovered by families. And this is a regular thing. So the question a lot of people have been asking, a few questions which also comes to mind, because the Lekki shooting has been between here and there, whether there were people shot or people were not shot. The Nigerian army was brought into this. A committee of a commission of inquiry was set up. Nobody heard what happened after that. The white paper was supposed to be released. All under Governor Sanwo-Olu's administration, nothing seems to have been heard. As well as it was disappointing for many when the American embassy, the American government came out to say, well, they have no proof that anybody was actually killed, despite the damning evidence, but despite all the videos that were surfaced. In fact, many of those who were in the forefront of the Lekki Tollgate, the ENDSARS movement, they have been running for their lives till date. I can tell you that categorically. But now, we didn't hear much about the Lekki Tollgate massacre. It was called a massacre. After that, it wasn't called a massacre again. Everyone forgot about it. We thought we forgot about it. The casualties, where did they end up? Some people said they ended up in the lagoon somewhere. There were shootings, there were, stampede. But all of a sudden, I think about 103 or more bodies have been identified by the Lagos State government. They said these guys died because of the violence that followed the Lekki Tollgate issue. But these places are in different places in Lagos, not at the Lekki Tollgate. I'm wondering, because it was a big story. Everybody followed the Lekki Tollgate, the ENDSARS movement, the ENDSARS, every gathering at the Lekki Tollgate. But the violence that followed afterwards, were they as severe as to having people being killed in all these places? Because if you go with me back into the news stories, you might not hear as much. So how come we are able to hear that a lot of people were killed in different places? Abulegba, people were killed in Ikorodu, people were killed in Ojota, people were killed in Ogba, people were killed in Ajah area, and no one heard about it. Nobody heard about these different clashes. And they added a few things. They said some communal clashes. And in all these clashes, nobody went to identify the bodies. And the Lagos State government said they have been waiting for parents, family members, and nothing happened. So why did it take 3 years to decongest the morgue? Why did it take 3 years? How much advert, how much publicity did you give this? How much did you spend? How much time did you spend to tell people we found bodies in these areas? Because at the end of the day, what we heard was that nobody was killed. Even after the Lekki Tollgate shooting, we didn't hear much stories that anyone was killed in these areas mentioned, much less the avoidance of the fact that Lekki Tollgate was a fundamental part of that discussion. So why did it take 3 years for the Lagos State government to depopulate its morgue? Is this what they do regularly? And is it true that family members couldn't come to identify their bodies? When the epicenter of what happened, everyone knows, was at Lekki, but every other place was mentioned. Ketu, Ikorodu, Rile, Ajegunle, Abulegba, Isolo, all those areas in Najah as well, but nothing in Lekki. Why did it take 3 years? Why did it wait for the ENDSARS move to die down? But that's secondary. Why didn't this conversation crop up December 2022? Why didn't it crop up November 2022? Because that was the heated period of the election campaign. How come the Lagos State government didn't think it fit to say, look, this is Christmas. We have been waiting for guys to come and identify the bodies of people who lost their lives in the post-violence of ENDSARS. They didn't say that in November, so families will have closure. They didn't say that in December 2022. They could never mention it in January 2023. Nobody in his right thinking mind would have talked about it in February 2023. It was election season. It was not right to talk about it in election because it definitely will affect the order of things. It will affect the outcomes. That's one other question. Why didn't this come up before the elections? So why haven't there been records so far? And why doesn't anyone want to mention if there were casualties at the Lekki Tollgate? This is a conversation I would like you to comment about. You drop your comments in the comment section below. It's very important we talk about it now. It's very convenient to hear that it is important that the government is calling out people, families. Oh, you didn't come and pick the bodies, identify the bodies of your loved ones. But it's now we want to hear you talk about it. It's convenient. Government is in another tenor. No one is going to bat an eyelid. They have tried their best to silence the gongs of the ENDSARS movement. And this is the opportune time. Well, on social media, no one is taking it lightly. It's come up as another conversation again. Will Nigerians agree that the ENDSARS shooting happened? Will foreign nations agree? That doesn't really matter. Nigerians know what happened. At the end of the day, it will be us. We are the ones who will try to rescue our own nation. And that's the conversation I want to have going forward. But this is Punchline, and I am Sami Ajifo. Don't forget to drop your comments in the comment section below. So much to talk about in the next episodes of our show. You want to still be part of it, drop your comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all our social media handles. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as YouTube. You'll see them here. Go ahead and click the notification bell at First News Nation, so every time we have a new episode, you will know. But before we go, it's always important that we always advise that you could do all you can, make as much as you can, live the best life you can, but do the best you can to stay safe. That's your advice. That's the advice from me to you, Sami Ajifo, to you, my very good friend. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.